Hey guys, hoping all is well with everyone. In this video, we're going to be continuing the read-along of the Crime Traveler's Adventure Series, Book 1, Brainwashed by Paul Aertker. And last time we finished off, we completed Chapter 2, so we'll be starting with Chapter 3. And as always, I'll be showing you any pictures that we come across, but there's not too many in this book. But as always, please feel free to follow along. Chapter 3, You Can't Always Follow the Rules. Hearing the cry, Lucas launched off the bed with no real idea of where to go. Outside the window, Astrid's rope tapped the wall. He could tell there were people walking in the hallway with their suitcases rolling behind them. Now the new resistance teams were on a call to legs. The only elevator Lucas could use required 2 separate facial scans to operate. He would have to wait for his sister. Lucas was stuck. Looking around the hotel room, he truly felt alone. No real mother, and no real place to call home. He unbuckled his waist harness, let it drop to the floor, and kicked it between the beds. The baby had stirred something up. A kidnapped kid had reminded him of how he had been taken from his own mother. Lucas knew that when Astrid's mom had stuck him in that ice chest, she had held a secret about the good company, and possibly about his own birth mother. If he could avoid getting kidnapped or brainwashed, or both, he might actually find out what happened to his mothers. Plural. As he waited, he tried to envision what his life would be like if he had actually had one of the 2 mothers he had lost. Would they live in a regular house with a yard? Would his mother wake him up and make pancakes like the cooks in the hotel kitchen? Since Lucas had lived his whole life in a hotel, then when the family went on vacation, would a hotel feel like a hotel? Or would it feel like the home that the Globe Hotel actually felt like now? Lucas peered into the dresser mirror. Hazel eyes that looked more green than brown stared back at him. He stepped back. His body was finally moving in what most people would call normal. And even though it was only June, his naturally olive skin had already tanned. It always seemed like mothers were the ones to put sunscreen on their kids. Since Lucas had no mother, he never used sunscreen. The hair was still the only real problem. He yanked on his dirty blonde mop and groaned at it. Then he gave up. On the dresser there was a key card and a note from his dad. He picked up the note and tossed it aside without even reading it. He was sure it was nothing more than another set of instructions about France and the elevator and the rules. Rules, rules, rules. The only note he wanted to read was in the shopping cart with the baby. He kicked the harness again and booted it to the bedside table. Then he hopped up and began jumping back and forth on the beds. "No jumping on the beds, kids," he said, mocking housekeeping rules. The oldest housekeeper was always nice, but according to Lucas, she had too many laws. Since they lived in a hotel, Lucas saw her as much as he saw his regular classroom teachers. But she tried too hard to be a mother to the new resistance kids, and Lucas was fed up with fake mothering. Lucas jumped down from the bed and into a pair of indoor soccer shoes. He stopped again at the dresser, where he scooped up some of his dad's international coins sitting in a wooden bowl. Quarters, euros, pence, loonies, pesos. Lucas pocketed a handful of euro coins and threw the others back. When he opened the door to the hallway, he found the silence tempting. There was nobody around, nothing except a line of morning newspapers sitting on the carpets outside the rooms. He patted his hair and stepped into the hall. An idea of knocking on all the doors and running, a little ring and run, came to mind. But this floor belonged to the new resistance teams, and they were all probably in the basement getting ready for his call to legs mission. The newspaper at his feet grabbed his attention. The front page of the Good Company Gazette had a picture of the Eiffel Tower. The headline read, "Tower Terror." He didn't bother reading any more of the paper. Global terrorism was just a part of life now. Lucas turned around and saw his sister now rappelling through the window and into the room. She landed perfectly on 2 feet at the same time and let her rope swing back outside. Standing in the doorway, Lucas pumped his leg. "I'll race you to the elevator." "Slow down," she said. "We're not supposed to go until we've read the note." Lucas crossed his arms. "You can't always follow the rules, Astrid." "Did you read the note?" Lucas grinned. "Yeah, I read it." Astrid grabbed a hairbrush from the dresser and ran it through her hair while she read the note from her dad. She snatched the room key and tossed her climbing belt and brush onto a bed. As she slipped into her favorite flip-flops, she sniffed the air. "Every time Dad wears that cologne," she said reflectively, "it smells like Mom used to." "I wouldn't know," said Lucas as he turned and shuffled down the hall. Before Lucas rounded the next corner, he looked back at his sister. Astrid was still standing just outside the hotel room. She had stooped down to pick up the newspaper and was now reading page 1. Secretly, Lucas admired Astrid. She read everything and considered herself near perfect. She often liked to remind Lucas of the one mistake she had made in her 14 years. When she was 7, and they had just moved into room 777, she had fallen into a toilet bowl. Of course, Lucas had left the seat up. Astrid folded the newspaper and looked down the hallway at her brother. Lucas took off and sprinted to the end of the next hallway, and there pushed a call button on the very elevator he wasn't supposed to touch, unless he read the instructions in his father's note. While he waited, Lucas practiced one of his favorite hobbies, useless math. From where he stood, he guessed the corridor was about 562 feet, or 171.3 meters. If he was racing somebody, he figured he could cover the distance in 17 seconds, more or less. The pattering of feet brought Lucas back from his math daydream. Astrid rounded the corner, wearing a lace cami, jeans, and flip-flops that flapped when she ran. When she caught up with Lucas at the elevator, she gathered her hair behind her and pointed at the ceiling speakers, which were piping in a music version of A Day Like Any Other. "Hey, listen to that! That's a French song," she said. "That's Un jour comme un autre." "French always sounds backwards to me," said Lucas. He mocked. "It sounded like Aertker nu emok nu nenur." "Your French is always backward," Astrid said. "All your languages are." "Excusez-moi." Lucas hammered a stiff index finger on the already lit call button. "My French is fine. You're just a perfectionist." The two kids stepped back and looked at their reflections in the blurry elevator doors. The image reminded Lucas of the wavy mirrors in amusement parks. As he waited, he tried to make his medium-sized body look short and fat and tall and skinny. Astrid fixed her hair as if she were going to meet somebody. The two doors opened, and with one long stride, Lucas and Astrid stepped into the elevator and on to the mission. I'll stop the video there, ending chapter 3. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and in our next read-along, we'll be continuing with chapter 4 of the Crime Traveler's Adventure series, book 1. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and please take good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.